He has a purpose, but believe me, I had him set out here, and I knew there was community and I had forgotten. Well, there were these two rabbits. I've got to tell you a story of two rabbits. One was named Wanda the Wise, and the other was Frederick the Foolish. And so Wanda the Wise and Frederick the Foolish were good friends, and they're hopping through the forest together, and then they went out into the field, and they came upon some carrots. And so as they approached the carrots, Frederick hopped up to the one that had the biggest leaves and proceeded to pull it out of the ground. And Wanda the Wise went up to the other one and pulled it out of the ground, and it was bigger even though the leaves were smaller. And so Frederick the Foolish said, Wanda, I don't understand this. The leaves were bigger. And she said, you can't always judge a carrot by its leaves. And so they munched on the carrots, and then they hopped along. And so the next time they came to a couple of carrots, sure enough, there were two different sizes for the leaves. And this time, Frederick said, Wanda, you choose first. And so she hopped up to the one with the biggest leaves, and she sniffed it, and she went to the other one, and she sniffed it, and she went back, and she chose the one with the bigger leaves. And sure enough, it was the bigger one. And Frederick's like, I don't understand this, Wanda. You said that you should choose a carrot by the... She said, no. I said, don't judge a carrot by the size of its leaves. You need to think when you are choosing your carrots. And so, as they hopped on, they came to a third set of carrots. And this time, Frederick was just like, he couldn't figure out which one to choose. And so, Wanda walked over, and hopped over, and she sniffed both of them, and she pulled one out of the ground. And he went immediately to go to the other one. And she said, oh no, Frederick. She said, this one is yours. She had pulled the bigger one out of the ground. And he said, Wanda, I don't understand that. And here's what she said, and this I just have to read to you because it's so neat. She said, Frederick, there's no point in having wisdom if you're not willing to share the benefits of it with others. You're my friend, and I want you to have this carrot. A smart rabbit with a full stomach, but no friends, isn't really wise, is he? When I found this, it was like, that's the perfect lead-in for where I want to go, where God wants us to go with the message. But I got to tell you about this other guy. I'm going to pick on you for a minute, Brian. Brian and his dear wife finally moved into their retirement home, okay? And they thought everything was wonderful because they moved in the summer. And then the school year began, and there was a middle school about 2 blocks away from their house. And the first day after school, a set of boys took it upon themselves to bang on the trash cans on the way home. And this happened every single day. And it was driving Deb crazy. She was about to, and Brian said, don't worry, hon, I got this. And so the next afternoon, he took a bunch of ones, and he walked out to the boys as they were coming down the street. And he stopped them, and he said, guys, he said, I am so impressed with what you've been doing that I want to give you $1 to keep doing. And so the boys were like, wow, you really like what we're doing? This is pretty cool. And so they all took the $1. And so he said, I'll be back next week. And so every day they came, they pounded on the trash cans. Well, second week comes along, and this time he goes out with a bunch of 50-cent pieces. And he's like, guys, I'm sorry. He said, they cut my pension back. My Social Security's been reduced. I can't afford to give you $1 this week, but I got 50 cents for each of you. And they're like, oh, it's okay, sir. We understand. And they went on their way, pounding on the trash can list. Well, the next week, he took out a bunch of quarters. And he's like, guys, listen, I'm sorry. He said, somebody stole my identity this week, and this is all I can afford. And the boys looked at the quarters, and they said, what, you think we're going to work for nothing? Keep them for yourself. And off they went, and they never beat on the trash can. Now that was wisdom and knowledge. Today we're talking about how we need to add to our faith goodness. We talked about that last week. But add to our goodness knowledge. So as I was studying for this and preparing, I had to ask myself this question. Why do I need to do all this adding? What's all this about? So I looked again at the scripture that we've been reading through, and it says, for this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge. But then I read a little bit further, and it said this, for if you possess these qualities in increasing measure, they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive in your knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. Why do we need to keep working? Why do we need to do our best to add to what we already have? We have faith in Jesus. Why do I need to add goodness? Why do I need to add knowledge? Because if I keep adding in increasing measure, it will keep me from being ineffective and unproductive. And the last thing that the church, the last thing that the world needs right now is believers who are ineffective and unproductive. So we're going to keep talking about these slats. We gave the illustration, I don't know, probably a month ago almost, about a barrel. And how the barrel can only hold as much water as the lowest slat. And we, although we, the Bible tells us, are holding this treasure in jars of clay, we can also say that we kind of have this treasure in a barrel, an unattractive wooden barrel. And the lowest slat is what determines the sense and amount of God's pleasure and His presence and His power that's in my life. So we're trying to raise these slats. We talked about the slat of faith. We've talked about the slat of goodness or of motives or moral excellence. Today we're going to talk about knowledge. How many of you, when you were a teenager, felt like you knew it all? Aren't you glad that you didn't know what you didn't know? How many of you glad you didn't know what you didn't know? If I had known what I didn't know, I would have been terrified to go out on my own. Because I was so green I wouldn't burn. You'll get that. And I didn't know it because I thought, oh, you know, when I started pastoring way back, and I was 21 years old, and that's a long time ago. Anyway, a long time ago. But I remember coming out of Bible college, I'm thinking, I've been trained in the Bible. I know the Bible. And I've been teaching and preaching the Bible for the last 27 plus years. 37 plus years. Make myself younger than I am. Anyway, been preaching, leave it to the wife to laugh. And what I found out is that the knowledge that I had back then was like nothing. Because now I know so much more than I did, but I know that what I know now is just a drop in the bucket. It's just, you know, a teaspoonful compared to the ocean of what knowledge is out there. And yet back then, I didn't realize it. I didn't know. So we need to add to our faith goodness, but to goodness we have to add knowledge. By the way, you know why I got a goodness first, right? Because if you have the knowledge, nobody could bear to be around you if you didn't have the goodness.